We're going to talk about credit application documents and some protections for you in this chapter. So the 3 C's of credit. The 3 C's of credit are character. We're looking at if you're going to be able to repay the debt. Does it look like you have the ability to pay, or can we look at your past credit history, look at income, revenue, and other expenses to make sure that you can honestly and reliably pay back any debt that you incur. So we look at things on whether or not you've used credit. If you've not used credit, it's going to be hard to establish that first-time credit, right? Do you pay your bills on time? That's one of the things that's reflected in your credit score and in your credit report, whether or not you're paying on time. Your credit report, that's listing all of your credit that you've had. It may seem, so you can provide references, just as if you would provide references to a job, to a potential employer. It may not make sense to you, but statistics show the higher education, the more, the greater ability you have to pay back your loans, the more trustworthy or honest and reliable you are to pay back your loans. So achieving that higher education will have an impact on this part, the character of your debt. How long have you lived at your present address? They're establishing that reliability. If you're moving around from place to place, you don't have that reliability. If you've lived at your address for 10, 15 years, then we're pretty safe. We feel safe. Lenders would feel safe that you're going to pretty much stay put. Same thing with your job. It's all fluid, right? So they look at all of these things in a whole. Just because you've jumped jobs or you've jumped addresses doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a high credit risk. That is just one piece of the picture, of the character picture. Some questions regarding capital. Capital's the second. Okay. What happens if you don't repay that debt? Do you have anything to where we can liquidate that and use that to repay your debt if you lose your job, if something were to happen and you stopped repaying your debt? So they look at the property, again, that securing of the loan. Do you have property that we can secure the loan with, that we can put a lien on, to where if you don't pay, we can take your property and then sell it? It might be a car. It might be real estate. It could be a piece of jewelry that has got some value to it. Any kind of property that we can use to secure that loan, that collateral, right? We talked about collateral the other day. A down payment. So if you can put some money down, that does help. Do you have a savings account that we can look at? Do you have other investments, that we can look at to use as collateral? It might be some stocks and bonds that you have that aren't mature yet, but at least there is value there that you can put those up against the loan. That also gives you some buy-in where you want to pay back that loan because you don't want to lose that property, right? The third C would be capacity. Capacity, can you repay the debt? Capacity is simply, yes, it's the amount of filled, but it can also be the ability to. Do you have the capacity, the ability to repay the debt? So again, we're looking at potentially your jobs. Do you have the income? Right? Do you have a steady job? What is your income level? Do you have other payments that you need to make? Do you have a house payment? Do you have a car payment? Those kinds of things. What other debts might you have? Do you have child support that you're paying out? Or do you have alimony or child support that you're receiving? That's a different type of income. It's not necessarily salary, but it is an income. So those things are establishing your capacity, your ability to pay back the loan. Some things that we can do to establish good credit. Well, we want to open some credit, right? We want to establish that credit. Let's open a checking account or a savings account, at least a savings account. You could start a savings account now, either online or at an actual bank. Getting a secured card, if you cannot get a, or if one wouldn't be able to get a credit card, say a Visa card where you have a credit limit, right? You could get a secured credit card, or even if you are, maybe you can get a gas card or a store card, store credit card. You make some small payment or small charges and pay those off. That establishes your credit history, right? And it's going to be a good credit history. You make your payments, you pay off your bills at the end of the month. That establishes that good credit and that good credit history, to where when I look at your payment history, I can see that, yep, you've made on-time payments, you've never made a late payment, you have got some credit, even though it might just be a gas card or a store credit card. That is getting some, building that credit. Keeping the same job, even if it's a part-time job, as long as you can show that employment consistency, that is helping you establish that good credit. It may be that you have, you get a loan. You want to buy a car, you could get a loan, have someone co-sign that loan for you. And as you make those payments, as you're paying back that loan, that establishes your good credit. You had your co-signer help you get that credit, but you were the one that paid it off. As long as you pay it off, right? And you don't default on your loan. Credit applications. So anytime that you get a credit card or a loan or whatever, you will have to fill out some sort of credit application. Most of the time, that's going to be something as simple as this, where you're just filling out your general information. It's going to ask for your social security number, your address, maybe your former address. If you haven't lived in your current address for very long, they're going to ask for your employment information. You see on one side it's the borrower, on the other side it's the co-borrower or the co-signer. They then use this information in order to make that decision about whether or not they should grant you credit. We are not going to do that. Again, this was 18.3a. We've got a couple more. Next week, we'll be going through the rest of chapter 18 And then getting ready for our Chapter 18 test. Just to give you a heads up on where we are headed. Looks like that may be next, that review and test, the review next week, and the test the first week of May. And then we will get into a little bit of real estate, talk a little bit of real estate and some other investment, and then get ready for the final exam. So, or the last test, I guess, not necessarily a final exam. But we're looking to wrap up here at the end of May. So hope you guys are doing all right. Let me know if you have any questions. You can text, email, keep in touch.